Well, welcome, welcome, welcome back to the Awakening Potential Show. It's your gateway to the extraordinary. I'm your host, Karen Rudolph, and I'm here to support you in stepping into your sassy confidence, your classy wisdom, and your bold, badassy brilliance. Because awakening the potential isn't just a moment, it's a movement. Here we dive into powerful stories, soul-stirring tools, and game-changing strategies that spark transformation in your life, in your work, and in the world around you. So grab a notebook, open your heart, and let's light your inner spark. Today, I'm so beyond excited to introduce someone who truly embodies the journey. Our guest, Tommy Ooze. He is a mindset and public speaking coach, a world-renowned speaker, sales and leadership mentor, a movie star, and we were both in that movie together. We'll have to catch up on that one after. It was a great experience. And he is a speaker by day and a DJ by night. Love it. So, welcome, 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 Tommy. It is such a pleasure to have you here with me.
Great to be here, Karen. I appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like-minded people. I was so enamored with when I met you on set last week. I think it was just last week,
Yeah,
actually. It's like time
literally.
is flying by. Yeah, we were both going to be in, or go ahead, you share it. You share. I'll let you take the
Yeah, we met on the I know it was a set for multiple movies, but the one specifically I shot in, I think you shot in as well, but I know you were in the frequency of healing, I think it was.
yeah,
The
yes,
art of manifestation. So
yeah.
all about manifesting all your desires and getting what you want in life and really how to go deep into the understanding of the spiritual side of success, law of attraction, goal setting, and manifesting what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious. I mean, I've always been intuitive and I always knew there was something bigger than myself, but I didn't know how to label it or how to define it. And I went through later in life, and it took more or less my divorce to really start looking. I was looking outside of myself before I started reflecting back within myself. And in that journey, I started looking after people like Wayne Dyer made such a big impression on my life. Bob Proctor. Oh God, there were so many greats on my journey. Tony Robbins, and I was following all these greats. Louise Hay. I'm a nurse by trade, so healing is a huge part of where I'm at. Yet you're so young and you've already stepped into your greatness and fullness. Like before you stepped into all of that, who were you before and what inspired you to step out from ordinary to extraordinary?
Yeah, I love that saying how to go from ordinary to extraordinary. And I think we all start as ordinary individuals, but have an above average mindset, an above average work ethic, an above average desire. I think that's what really it takes to go out there and become successful. So for me, from a young age, I always had this fire inside of me to just go make it happen, to go become successful, to really understand things they don't teach in school. And I was just such a eager student, and I believe the best leaders today are the best students, and then they become the best teachers. So over the last seven, honestly, almost 10 years, I've studied personal development and mindset mastery, understanding humans, why we are the way we are. Had some
Yeah.
amazing mentors like Bob Proctor, some other individuals, but really where it started was at 16 years old. My parents took me to Tony Robbins, and I walked on 12 feet of fire, and that really shifted the paradigm and mind boggled me, and I didn't really fully take it in until when I was 20. I went to my first big conference when I joined the industry of network marketing, and I saw Bob Proctor speak, and I watched him speak in stage in Dallas, Texas. I'll never forget it because I had that like emotional impact, and it re-brought up the info I learned from Tony at 16, and he was just talking about, the law of attraction, operating on a high vibration and high frequency in order to get in alignment with what your goals are and what you're after and really how to do it and breaking down your higher faculties. So when I first saw him speak, I got so fascinated with the information. I spent every dollar I had on personal development courses from him and other global thought leaders. And, now to
Love
this day, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars literally on personal development, on courses, on books, on audios, on programs, on seminars, events, mentors. And I still do it today because there's always another level. So I think success leaves clues. And if you want to get to where somebody is, if you do what they do, eventually you'll get what they get. People say, hey, don't be a copycat. But I always say it's okay to be a copycat as long as you're copying the right cat. So
absolutely.
that's kind of how
Absolutely.
it started for me was at a young age. I had some good parents who put me around the right information. And, I didn't come from, I like to call it the Lucky Sperm Club. I didn't come from, massive elite wealth or anything like that. I just came from a, hardworking middle class family and really just wanted to go out there and make it happen. I remember being 20 years old, being a broke, busted, disgusted kid, working my last 9 to 5 in marketing. And, I'm originally from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, now in Miami. But I remember literally Googling how to become a millionaire, how to make money online. And, I literally just followed what other people had that I wanted. And, it's crazy. I remember getting on a Zoom call. We're on Zoom right now, but I remember getting on a Zoom call. At 20 years old, I was at my parents' house with this guy that was making like 10 grand a month in Miami. And at the time, 10 grand a month was a lot of money to me. And it's obviously not anymore, but back then it was. And then I was like, well, I want to make 10 grand a month. Like, tell me what to do. And then, now I'm living in Miami, making obviously more than that and doing well for myself. And, now I'm that guy, and obviously we're doing a lot of big things. I don't like to, I know you already said a bunch of my accolades, but I don't like to just talk about me. I like to talk about, what this podcast is all about, going from ordinary to extraordinary, really to just impress upon people what's possible if they go all in on their goals, dreams, and desires and, have the right vehicle of getting there. That's the most important thing and the right information as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the fact that I know I studied under Bob Proctor for a while, and when I started my journey in a mastermind group for 4 years, just reading over and over and over and over and over and over and pulling it apart, which was Think and Grow Rich. And at first, so many people in my group thought thinking and growing rich was like getting wealthy rich, but it's really tackling within. So, like you, I have invested a bucket load in hundreds of thousands of dollars within myself as well. And I just invested something yesterday, and I'm like, do we really need one more thing? But you know
Uh,
what? I feel we are always growing and expanding. And I can't imagine myself not being in that space till the day I'm laid to rest. I will be always curious and in wonder. And just seeing human nature just fascinates the heck out of me. And it supports me, as I'm sure you yourself as well, in really thinking our way through the successes. And communication was where I started because communication wasn't taught in school. And, they'll teach you your nouns and adjectives and pronouns and all that, how to put a sentence together, but to communicate. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I remember getting up on my first stage and my knees were knocking, and I was like, oh. Now it's like I can look people in the eye and go, yeah.
Yeah, you could throw me on a stage right now and I could rip on an entire hour keynote, just like
Yeah.
so unconsciously competent with it, done thousands of events. But I do remember my first event. It
Yeah.
was really like a presentation event. For essential oils. And then I did one in my basement and I barely knew what I was talking about. And I literally remember pressing play on a video and just like answering questions. And it's like people see you now, obviously doing massive things, traveling around the world, people hiring you to speak, this and that. But it's like you don't start there. I think people always see the glory, but they don't see the story. They don't see the trials and tribulations. They don't see the hard times. They just see on Instagram now, me living in this beautiful place, this beautiful penthouse in Miami, doing my thing. But it's like they don't remember when I was 20 years old and I was sitting in my parents' basement and I wrote down on a piece of paper, and this goes back to the manifestation, and I talk about this in the movie. I wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm so happy and grateful now I live in a penthouse in Miami, two-floor loft overlooking the ocean. And I literally just wrote on a piece of paper in present tense because, I
Right.
believe I already had it. And it showed up, 6 years later. I'm now living there, and it's crazy because I worked my frickin' tail off, with the right action, the right execution, and did the right things long enough consistently, and just, fed into that burning desire and focused on, one thing. And yeah, it really pays off. I think where most people struggle and why they stay ordinary, to the theme of this podcast, is because they just give up too early. People give up too early. People, like there's peaks and valleys, right? So it's like, imagine you're in a valley. It's like you just see the massive peak of success, and then you get to the peak, and then you realize there's another valley coming. So, there's always going to be ups and downs, but it's what you do when you're down that matters the most. And I always say, if you can look up, you can get up. And
Yeah.
I've lost everything, multiple times and built it back multiple times. And it's just having resilience and really never giving up and having that burning desire, no matter what happens, no matter who comes with you, you're going to get to where you want to go. And then understanding and studying the right information and applying it to your life and understanding the
Exactly.
laws of the universe and,
Mhm.
prayer, all that amazing stuff, to really go out there and make it happen.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Tommy. I have a question for you, if you would. Um, there are peaks and valleys in life for sure. And as you said earlier, people don't always see what's behind the scenes. So I'm curious if you could share one story of behind the scenes. That's not going to give, you know, how, unless you want to go there, far you fell, but how you shifted your mind, right? And what it took for you to pick yourself up. Like, what would it be that really made a difference in your life? I mean, obviously, you've had all this training, you now hit rock bottom, and instead of making yourself bad wrong did you tell yourself stories? Like, how'd you get out of all of that? Like, what pulled you out? And
Yeah,
did you do
great.
it by yourself or did you have support?
What was the last part?
I know it's a chock full question, but did you do it by yourself or did you have support? Someone to
Yeah,
support you out of it?
great question. I think, what you do behind closed doors gets you paid and praised in public. And most people, like you said, don't see what's going on behind closed doors. They just see the glory, as I said. And yeah, I remember so many times where it went up and down, but it's always really beginning with the end in mind. It's always about focusing on the outcome that you want, not where you are. I always say focus on where you're going, not where you are right now. And if you can do that and you can give your 100% time and energy to that, that's where you're going to go. So like I remember this one time, I had my business, literally this company I was a part of, basically went bankrupt, and I went from making multiple six figures, doing, very well, and the company went under that I was a part of, and it literally went from paying me XYZ a month to $0 overnight. And I didn't get a check for like 6 weeks. And then I was like, why is this happening? This and that. I actually had just moved to Miami and I had just gotten that penthouse. I'm like, what the heck? Why did this happen? And I always say find the gold in every negative, everything that happens in your life. And
Absolutely.
I basically, had manifested connecting with some old mentors, old friends, this and that. And it was a blessing in disguise. Now I actually like transitioned to working with one of my old mentors, and I wanted to reconnect with him. And then now we're doing things even bigger and better than we were when that company went under and we got, our check cut. So yeah, I remember having to go from like teams of almost 3,000 people in my network marketing career to then going to literally zero, and restarting and rebuilding it back up and then rebuilding it back up to a couple thousand people again. And most people, can't do that. Maybe they can do it once, they'll get lucky, but you got to have resilience, got to be able to bounce back and always find the gold. Like I think, like I said earlier, I think where most people just mess up is they just they stay down. They get hit, they stay down. You ask God for strength. You ask God, for power, for success. He's gonna give you obstacles and challenges to go through in order to get there. So it's like the test really becomes the testimony. But I think most people's problem and why they stay ordinary is they don't allow it to become the story or a testimony. They just, get knocked down and don't get back up.
I love that. You're so wise for one. You're not a kid, but yet you're so compared to me. You're very young.
Sure. I appreciate it.
I
I feel like I'm
learned it.
62 in the spiritual, 26 in the physical.
I'm
So,
telling you, it's very impressive, very impressive. And I mean, you're totally speaking my language. It took me a long time to get there. I did not have the mentors behind me, but I did have that ESP intuitiveness. And then when I was married, my former husband made me feel like Karen, you're freaking me out. Turn it off. I didn't know what it was, you know. So I kept my mouth shut. And after my divorce, I started looking for it again, and I was looking for it in all the wrong places until I started like getting into flow and studying some of these great things, Think and Grow Rich, and God, I've done so much over the years. What is your favorite thing you've done thus far?
in terms of like business and career, I would say I spoke at a massive, massive event in Zagreb, Croatia, in front of 7,000 plus people, and I was just talking about the spiritual side of success and how feeling is the secret and getting to where you want to go and manifesting your desires. And
Mhm.
then afterwards, I got everyone to like really feel it by creating that emotional moment, an emotional impact. I got everyone to stand on their feet in the entire arena, and I made them like scream their goal as loud as they can. And it literally like shook the arena. And I remember the energy. I literally like saw black for a second because you have 7,000 people sending you
Yeah.
vibes and energy. But it was one of the like honestly one of the biggest highlights of my life because I know I just impacted, even if it was 3,000 of the people that were listening or five or all of them, it's like, I think for me, it's always been impact over income. It's always been people over profits. And
Absolutely.
one of my biggest like values is legacy, where people can come up to my gravestone one day, hopefully hundreds of years from now, they can find a way to freeze our bodies or something like Walt Disney.
Yeah.
But I want them to be able to come up to me and just be like, yo, Tommy Hughes changed my life. He taught me certain techniques or mindset or leadership or whatever. And he helped me become the best version of myself. So for me, that was a massive, massive moment in my life that I'll never forget. It made me even fall in love more with speaking and sharing my message. And yeah, we're literally going on tour here shortly, in 2 days. So yeah, yeah, that was definitely a highlight for sure.
I love that. That's amazing. I wish I were a fly on the wall. I'd be on the side going, yay, Tommy.
Yeah.
So for the listening audience, I'm just curious. I mean, they're in a space of possibly holding back. We all have a story. I believe we all have a story. And this is part of what inspired the show. And opening your mouth and sharing your story is key. So you want to speak a little bit into that from your perspective?
Yeah, I think everyone has a story to tell, but like I said earlier, most people don't get to the good part in order to tell it. And I think what you go through is the most powerful thing out there because it's relatable, it's real, right? If you're like, I'm a millionaire and I made $100 million or I'm a billionaire, it's like you went through no struggles, you're not relatable. But being able to share your story of, trials and tribulations and how you overcame them can inspire somebody else's life. And everyone goes through different things, everyone comes from different upbringings, and I believe everyone should share their story. They just got to create a story worth sharing. That's the first part. I think some people, to be real, want to be speakers and they have nothing worthy of speaking of yet. Emphasis on yet. But
Exactly.
the more
Exactly.
they build themselves, the more everyone should share their story because you never know that one impact, that one life you can change or keep. Like I've had so many people tell me they didn't kill themselves because of me and my message and the things I told them and the mindset shifts I've gave them, and that is like beyond money. Like that feeling of people like crying in your arms at an event or just sending you a novel on your phone and a paragraph text message, like how grateful they are for me. I would take that any day over money. And I think it's like an undescribable feeling as like a mentor and coach. Like once you really create that impact, like you're like, man, this is like, because you make a certain amount of money, money doesn't really matter anymore. It doesn't drive you. I think money drives you at the beginning, and then you hit a certain like pinnacle, and you're like, I don't really care about the money. Like I'm just here to help the next person. And I think that's kind of where I'm at in my life is like money's great. Don't get it twisted. It's right up there with oxygen. We need lots of it. But the more you have, the more free you can be and live the life you want to live. But I think for me it's always about fulfillment, and success without fulfillment is like truly the ultimate failure. So you got to get in alignment with your purpose. You got to share your story 100%.
Absolutely. So one of the things that attracted me to you and just feeling your energy when I met you last week was I'm very spiritual and there's a spiritual side to success for sure. And everything is energy. And I spoke about that in the movie as well. Um, what worked for you in your life when it came to law of attraction?
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. I actually feel like I have like a superpower. Like I can literally like unzip people in the sense of like I've literally experienced this like a couple days ago. I was at this event and I literally was walking by people and I could tell how they felt about me. I could like read their thoughts. I'm like sometimes I'm just like so tapped in with my like higher faculties. It's like insane because I think they're like your intuition's like a muscle. The more you work it, the more you can think. I've literally went up to people and like told them their name and I'm like, hey, like I was at a Vegas Golden Knights game, hockey game, and I went up to this guy, I saw this security guard walking, no name tag. And I was like, hey, Mark, how are you? He's like, how do you know my name? And then I was with people. They're like, how did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just felt it. So definitely like super tapped in. Always try to stay in good energy. And, I think I'm an empath as well. So yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. And in terms of the law of attraction and how it's worked in my life, I mean, it's how I've created my entire life today, to be completely honest. Like I created the business, I have today. I wrote down on a piece of paper, I want to be making XYZ amount of income on my goal card. I'd carry it around. I'd read it every day. I'd feel it. I would speak it into existence. I would, use my affirmations. And I think the law of attraction breaks down into four steps. It's thoughts become feelings, and then your feelings become actions, and your actions become the results that you have in your life. And it can also be opposite too. It could be inferior action due to not feeling good. You take no action, you get no results. So most people are just going through life, like walking the streets of Miami or Florida or wherever they're at, and they're like, they don't know why they have what they have. They think that everything just happens and it's not their fault. But the reality is that everyone listening to this, you're 100% responsible for everything in your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the phenomenal stuff too. And for me, when I really understood that the law of attraction is a double-edged sword in the best way possible, I said, hey, I'm gonna really just take that time every morning, and I always get into alignment. I always get in the right feeling because how you're feeling determines how your day goes. Bob taught me it's not how you spend your day, it's how you start it. So from the car I drive to the place I live in to the business I have to the new opportunities I'm attracting to even as a kid, and I'll share this with you because it's in alignment with us being in the movie together. I was like I used to do acting growing up, so I was in like theater, I did plays, I did acting camp, I did it all. And then I got into film, I started doing auditions, and I took a step back from that, and that's when I got into speaking and network marketing and sales, entrepreneurship, and leadership. And everyone would always say to me, Tom, you're gonna be the next DiCaprio or this and that. And it's crazy full circle because I always had it in my mind where I was like, you know what, one day I'll get back into doing movies and acting and TV shows, but I want to be more me. That's what I always said. I don't want to play roles necessarily. I'm not opposed to it, but I just want to be my authentic self because that's what I believe is the most important thing. So like even being in the two movies that we were just in. I know we were in one separate one and then one same one, but it's like even that as a kid, I spoke that into existence and it showed up later. And the one thing people don't understand about the law of attraction and spiritual realm is there's no time. So you could say, I want this now, but then it shows up 10 years from now because you weren't in alignment with it. You weren't in the right feeling. You weren't operating on the right frequency to attract it. And then maybe, 7 years from now you are, or tomorrow. It'll show up when it's supposed to show up. But I honestly, the law of attraction literally controls your entire life. And I think it's also secondary to the law of vibration, which is really senior to the law of attraction, which is what you're vibrating and the energy you're putting out is what you're going to get. And also what you're speaking too. I hear people all the time speaking like lack and
Yep.
like, bro, why do you think you're getting more lack? You're like, oh, my business isn't growing or this and that or whatever. And then it's like you're getting more of that. Why don't you start speaking what you want into existence? Like my business is growing every single day. Money flows easily and frequently to me from multiple sources on a continuous basis. And then you feel it, you sit in that feeling. If you give a thought, fun fact, over 17 seconds of focus, you actually send out the vibration. So yeah, just people need to understand it, study it, and really, it doesn't matter what you believe in too. If you're listening to this and you believe in God, Allah, Buddha, I respect all religion. I was raised Catholic, Christian, but the reality is one thing all religions agree upon, and I said this in the movie, is you get what you think about most of the time. Earl Nightingale said it best. So just watch your
Yep.
thinking and start thinking about what you want, not what you don't want, and you'll end up getting it.
I love it. So somebody who's a lay person, for lack of better verbiage, somebody who's never really looked at law of attraction and they're in their low frequency right now, what would you suggest that they do to start and then tagging onto that, if you would, like what is your daily morning routine?
Yeah, yeah, great questions. I mean, if you're like if they're listening to this podcast or a year from now and it's brand new, whatever, you should just start, right? You don't got to be great to start. You just need to start in order to be great. So where do I start? I don't know. Go on YouTube and type in the law of attraction. Like it could be as basic as that. It could be as basic as picking up the book The Secret, which is the first movie, and then we were in the sequel, The Art of Manifestation. Going watching the movie The Secret. Go read Think and Grow Rich. Go study Bob Proctor. Go listen to 20 of the podcasts I've been featured in. Go listen to your podcasts and just study. But make sure you're listening to the right people because there's a lot of wrong information out there. So you got to make sure who you're listening to is very important. Do they have the results? Do they actually walk it like they talk it? Or are they full of, crap? So I think they just gotta do research, learn, read audios, books, events. Those are my 3 points to them. And go just start personally developing. If and when I say personal development, I don't mean like go hit the gym and lift some weights. I mean work on this, work on your mind, right? Because when you get your mind right, you get everything else right. Mind, body, spirit, right? So you
Yeah.
know, it's just a known fact. Even basic stuff like people go get a haircut, they get their hair done, they're a girl, right? Or I get a nice fade, whatever. It's like you look good, you feel good, and then why do you think you start attracting more good things in your life? Because even the smallest little things make the biggest difference. So yeah, that's what I would say of like a place to start. What was the second question?
And then the second part of the question was, what is your morning routine? Like, how do you set yourself up for success each day?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna give out some secret gems right now. I teach this in my one-on-one mentorship and group coaching, but I have no problem giving your viewers my morning routine. So yeah, I basically wake up and I don't grab my cell phone. That's the first thing you should not do because what happens is when you grab your cell phone, you let in the energies of all the people that texted you, emailed you, was on your Instagram, whatever apps you open, WhatsApp. Okay, so you gotta just focus on your feeling and you gotta rewire your subconscious. So your subconscious mind, Bob taught me, paid a lot of money for this nugget of gold, but it's the most open in your first 30 minutes of your day. So if you can, it's like when you're a baby up to the age of 7 years old, your subconscious is wide open. So for example, if you wake up and you put on high frequencies like 963 hertz, which taps into your third eye, your pineal gland, and activates your manifestation really frequency, and you do that and you start focusing on what you want, and then you write out your goals, right? In blue pen, blue ink, and on a nice some lined paper, and you write out your goals in present tense. So you write it out as if you already have it, because when you're chasing something, when you're in a state of need or want, you don't have. When you are writing I am or I have, that is where you're already feeling it as it's already done. So I write out my goals in present tense. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am da 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 da, whatever the goal is. And then I do that for all areas of my life. And I will throw on an audio. I'll throw on a, podcast, or now, I have, some mentors, so I'll throw in some of their audios, and just listening and feeding my mind the right information to start my day. So when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm listening to an audio, and then I'll have my reading time. And I believe leaders are readers and readers are leaders. So, really just if you're not growing, you're dying. And most people just wake up, they go straight to work, they get on the phone, they go on TikTok, and then they wonder why they have no energy an hour later. So I really take my mornings, I chug water, wake up, write out, listen to audios, frequencies, write out my goals, feel it, do a visualization as well. I see myself already there, in that dream house, in that dream car, whatever it is. And then I'll go attack my day after I'm done, speaking my affirmations, doing everything I just said, and I get after it. I get after it, but you gotta pour into your cup first, especially for my business owners, my leaders, and all those people, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Otherwise, you're just gonna be like not be able to. You're gonna burn out. So I always like to, and I mentor like a lot of people. So I need to pour into Tommy, and I like to call it Tommy time, in order to pour into all these other people. Otherwise, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Because I'm not feeling good. And it's like then it's a ripple effect. So you got to take care of yourself first. And then also it's also how you end your day too. I would for like 5 years, from like 20 to 25, and I still do sometimes. I would listen to like audios and like program my subconscious mind while I'm sleeping, and break limiting beliefs that way too, because your subconscious is wide open, and your subconscious cannot accept or reject, and it can't define what's real to imaginary. And you gotta just put the right information, positive information through repetition. That's how you change your paradigm, which is, the way you think, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself, the way you do business, the way you do everything. So
Mhm.
you constantly got to be working on yourself. Just like people are like have gym memberships, but do you have a membership to making you better? You know? And that's a little bit about my morning routine. Majority, I'd say like 99% of it, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing it because I too, the same thing. I do the same similar routine. My one of the things that I do as well is I set an intention for a day, for the day, an energetic intention of who I am going to be. And then at the end of the day, I ask myself the questions, did I live into that? What worked, what didn't work? Because I'm always learning. So I set my three goals to align with my three action steps to align with my goals. And then I ask myself at the end of the day, and I write it. And I'm a big writer when it comes to that. So I'm journaling twice a day. Same thing there. And every free moment I have, it's just a joy for me. Whenever I'm in the car, I'm listening to audio. I had three daughters, and I used to do 6 hours of carpooling back in the day. And I always had an audio going. So I was always filling my mind, filling my mind, filling my mind. It comes back tenfold. I can't,
Yeah,
I cannot.
100%. It's like turning your car into a mobile classroom or university on wheels, I like to call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So nothing gets, so, I love it. I love it. I still love it. I still do that to this day. And my kids are grown and I still listen to audios every day. And every now and then I'll throw a fun one in there just to break it up. I'm
Yeah.
always learning something because even the fun one teaches me, right? Everything is a lesson, and it teaches me not to to be significant and to let myself relax now and then. I remember back in the day, my children used to call me selfish when I was doing that, and I really learned that there's a difference between selfish and selfless.
Yeah.
And you have Tony time, I have Karen time. Same
Yeah.
thing. I
And you
feel
gotta, you gotta, in order to be selfless, you need to be selfish first. Because you can't help other people if you can't help yourself. So
yeah,
you gotta be able
you're
to lead you before you can lead others.
Yeah, I love this. This has been a great. I can talk to you all day because I just feel so aligned with you, and I'm grateful for your time. And I know you're really busy. Lu- all of your information, your show notes will be in the show notes. All of your contact information will be in the show notes. And I know you have a gift for the listening audience. If you'd like to share what that is, we'll make sure
Yeah.
it comes in the show notes.
Yeah, no, I have a free Telegram group where I basically drop audios, podcasts. You can listen to what I'm listening to. You can listen to my latest podcast, or I'll drop like mindset gems, golden nuggets, nuggets of gold, I like to call it, quotes. Sayings and just give free value. So I have my free Telegram group that your whole audience is more than happy to join. I'll be dropping my book in there. I'm the author of the upcoming book, Mastering Your Mind, 21 Proven Strategies to Take Your Life from Zero to 100. Really sharing my journey, telling stories, but also teaching the law of attraction and the first step to mastering your mind. So I'll have that in there in the future. So really, yeah, free Telegram group. You're more than welcome to share with all the listeners.
I definitely will plan on doing that for sure. Before we part, I always ask the question, what is I like to call them pearls of wisdom. What is that one pearl of wisdom that you want to impart on the listening audience that's going to make the biggest difference?
Yeah, I would say the pearl of wisdom. You call it pearl of wisdom, I call it nugget of gold or gem, but same thing. I would say the pearl of wisdom I would love to leave with everyone here is just you can be, do, have whatever you want in life. Like truly, you have no limits. The only limits you have are the ones you impose on yourself. So whether you think you can do something or you can't, you're right every single time. So you could ask yourself, one, where's my focus lying? Two, am I in alignment? And if you're not, find something that you just absolutely love, can make you a lot of money and go all in with it and believe you can do it. Have belief, read the book, The Magic of Thinking Big. Like go think a lot bigger, a lot faster, much sooner because you can truly be do have whatever you want. I said, hey, why not, do all the things that I do? I have multiple businesses. I'm a speaker. I'm also a DJ. It's like, why not? Why not you? Why can't you be the next Drake? Why not you be, whoever you want to be, the next movie star? Because your broke friend told you couldn't, or your parents said you're not going to be successful. Other people's opinions don't pay your bills, so you can't listen to other people if they don't have what you want, and you got one life in this body, so make sure you go frickin' seize it.
Uh, we didn't even touch on the DJ, but just real quick, what kind of music and what got you into that? I'm
Yeah, so
so
I love like house music, like very high vibrational, like house, electronic dance music, stuff like that. Really just that like makes you feel good. Bob taught me he's like you put on a good piece of music, you jump around, you go from feeling bad to changing your physiology to just being in this peak state. So music is such a high vibration. Not all music. There's definitely some bad music, but if you listen to good, upbeat, positive music, it's great. So for me, even when I do my keynotes, my last one was in Fort Lauderdale. I got everyone jumping at the end of it to like a very high vibrational song and celebrating their success as if it was already happening and getting that feeling of doing so. So yeah, I got into DJing when I was in college actually. And I've always just, my mom always said me and my brother were gonna come out dancing and yeah, just always been that like life of the party, but I'm bringing a different twist to it where I'm just, making people feel really good now and they don't need all the bad things to do so. They just need themselves. So yeah, I love inspiring people, love making people, just operate on a high vibration and yeah, I just feel good now. So love music. When I'm not listening to an audio, I'm firing myself up with a good track. But yeah.
Love it. Well, I'm going to be down in Miami the beginning of September. If you don't mind, I'm going to look you up and maybe come jam with you because I love to dance. So we'll see where that's at. But uh, thank you, Tommy. It's been such a pleasure. I just love your story and how far you've come in such a short period of time. I can't even imagine what's led. You have any idea what's next for you at this point, or?
Yeah. What's next is new businesses, more speaking gigs, my book, um, new mindset program coming out soon. I'm gonna, music's coming, audios, podcast, a lot of stuff's coming. A lot of stuff's coming in terms of the time frame of all of it. We don't got one, but it's gonna come when it's ready. So a lot of stuff in the works,
Yeah.
and just taking it one day at a time. But super excited for what's to come. I got like 9 different speaking events in the next couple months, so that's the closest thing that's next. But after that is all the other things I listed. So super excited for what's to come.
Tommy, thank you so much.
I
Seriously.
appreciate you so much for having me, Karen. I've really enjoyed this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Tommy O's, for sharing your journey and insights with us. Your story is a beautiful reminder that transformation begins the moment we become aware and continues with those brave, badassy steps to choose that we choose to take. So thank you. And for the listening audience, remember the bridge from ordinary to extraordinary is built with small steps of change and big leaps of faith. You are more than you think you know. And keep showing up, keep rising, and awaken your potential. If today's episode sparked something inside of you, let's explore together what's possible. And feel free to reach out to Tommy. We're both available for you. When you reach out on my socials, you get me. I don't know, Tommy, or if you're the same or
Yeah,
not.
you get me. Yeah,
Yeah, you get me. So feel free to give your questions and I'll be happy to respond. Till then, make it an amazing day and thank you for being with us. Share it with others. Bye for
appreciate you.
now.